Leadership was just trying to be better. And not only for myself, but to help others be better. And you try to get better every single day. And I think that's what leaders do. They get better so that they can help make their team better. And when the people around you are better, then that's when everyone elevates and everyone rises. So leadership is a continuous thing. And you just hope to be a good example to those around you and those who get to, who you get to work with.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fisher Search Group Leadership Podcast. Happy 2026, everyone. I'm joined by my colleague and friend, Abbey Goodman, VP of Sales, Perimeter Medical Imaging AI. I'm so glad you are joining us as our first guest here in 2026. Welcome to the program, Abbey.
Thank you. I'm so excited. And I love kicking it off with a bang.
Awesome. We love the energy and we love the enthusiasm. So let's get going. For those just joining us, we love to profile sales leaders. We've also had internal recruiters. We had our first CEO at the end of 2025. Really, we are opening up the conversation to understand how Abbey has gone from where she started after graduation all the way through today. This is very helpful for all of our candidates going through a similar path. So we're going to cover 4 acts. The first one is going to be an introduction of how you went from the basement into the arena. Our second act is going to be pressure testing leadership, earning authority in a male-dominated space. Third is going to be about you and your identity, glitter, awareness, and the fine line of confidence. And then we're going to close with our fourth act of redefining love as leadership. And you're going to tell us about your 2026 theme. So let's just jump right in. If you don't mind, take us back to where you first started. You didn't originally start out in sales. So take us back to that basement conversation that you had that really that turned the page for you, if you will.
Of course. Yeah. So you can hear my twang. You'll hear it continuously throughout the conversation. So get used to that Southern thing.
I love it.
But I graduated from LSU in biological engineering, and I was doing my senior engineering project downstairs in this basement. And if anyone's in an engineering basement, you know that it's like deep down and it's got these little bitty windows at the top. And I remember looking out at that window, and I don't know if I meant to be down in this basement. And so at that point, I was challenged by my situation to go like, what can I do with this degree? Because I love math, love science, love engineering, and love technology. And how can I take this and do something bigger than just being in a basement working with equipment that's pressure testing things?
Yep. I love it. You saw something bigger for yourself. I can completely relate. I was actually a music major and I was student teaching at a high school. And I was like, wow, these kids graduate and they move on and I'm kind of still here. So there's got to be something bigger and better. And I won't go into my story. It's about your story, but I can completely relate. You're in a space. You got these windows up above. You can see the outside world. You can see things going on there that maybe you want to be a part of, but I think something unexpected happened. So bring us up to speed with how you made that shift.
So I was a competitive athlete. I've been a competitive athlete my whole life. It is, as you guys, as competitors, you can't help it. It is just bred into your DNA to compete. Yes. And whether it's competing with yourself or competing with a degree or with education or with physical sports or whatever that is, competitive people just have that thing. And so I was a power lifter for LSU,
Amazing.
National champion for my weight class. So I'm very proud of what I did there.
Congratulations.
But obviously it's not the best for your joints. So I had my first knee surgery when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
And really got to know my orthopedic surgeon. And he was just one of those people that I hope to be like, where he listens to people's stories. He helps guide them, mentors them if he can. And he said, you need to go into medical devices. Well, I'm 18 at the time. I don't know what medical devices, what is that? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so he made an introduction to me to a med device company, J&J. So it was DePuy MedTech, which is an orthopedic company within the J&J umbrella, made an introduction. And that is how I got into med devices at 21.
Amazing. So an injury, which resulted in the OR, which resulted in meeting a surgeon, which resulted in a door opening unexpectedly. And it kind of was fortuitous because you didn't want to be in this basement, though you probably loved the medical aspect of what you were
Yeah.
doing. But I think the theme here is there's a crossroads, maybe some uncomfortable decision, but the unexpected, you were willing to embrace it. So take us through that door, which opened for you, and then what came next with J&J.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the key thing is also getting to know people around you, right? Because had I not engaged with him, asked him, what he loved about his job and, in surgery and what did he thrive on? What did he want his legacy to be? And those things like that is how we created such a bond, which opened up these doors for me. So going into med devices, I began in startups. So a little product that was being launched by DePuy MedTech at the time, there was only 6 of us in the country starting this launch. And little did I know at the time that opportunity allowed me to not only test my people skills, but my sales skills, marketing skills, billing and reimbursement, coding, being there, in the office. Yeah. All of these things you didn't know existed because you're basically building a strategy for a product that the company has never launched. And I think looking back on it, that is where my love of startup and launching new devices and new products into the space really began.
I love that. So you got out of the basement, you actually took a sidebar into the OR, you met a mentor, and then you got that introduction into J&J. I love how you said, first of all, you were really curious, you asked questions, and you extended your network. Curious if your personal experience was aligned with the product that you were selling. A lot of times, first-time reps breaking in, they like, okay, well, medical device is so huge. There's so many different therapeutic areas. Where do I even start? One place is with your personal story. So that knee injury and the knee surgery, did that happen to be very closely related to the first product you sold, or tell me more about that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It was a hyaluronic acid injection for knees. So yeah, they tied together, and you've actually just pulled that together for the first time. And it wasn't meant, it was just sort of like an easy transition, I guess, now looking back.
Yep. So, because you had that personal story. So when you were in front of customers, you could share how it personally affected you, how this product could be a game changer. You personally, had you had this previously, things like that, you were able to create those relationships with early customers in this startup space. That's great.
Yeah, that's, so personally, I did not have the injection into my knee, but interestingly enough, 10 years down the road, I did. And so it was, and I knew all about it. I was like, I know, I used to sell that 10 years ago. It's crazy. But yeah, having something relatable gives you more passion to insert into what you're doing.
Perfect. So last question around this choice that you made, basement into the arena. So you were pulled into devices, first with DePuy, J&J, sorry. What shifted in how you saw your career and yourself? Because you were set up for this bioengineering track in the lab, and then now you're sort of in the field. Did it feel more natural for you? Did you feel like, oh, wow, this is where I always belong? Or tell me how that shift happened.
It did. So my dad owns a business and was an entrepreneur, still is to this day. Nice. He had me working in his shop at the age of 12, answering phones and saying, "Specialty floor designs, how may I help you?" And taught me sort of the introduction to customer engagement. Yes. And so that is how it came natural. But honestly, when I was at DePuy MedTech and J&J does a really, really great job of assessing potential talent. And so while I wasn't necessarily looking to build this huge career in med devices, I was looking to just be successful in the role. They identified me as a potential leader with potential leadership skills and put me into a course to develop those skills and put me in a room with other leaders so that we could better define who we were. So they actually recognized it And then because of their recognition, it gave me more confidence to be me and just to continue learning and growing.
So perfect segue to our next act. For those just joining, this is episode 17 of the Fisher Search Group Leadership Podcast, joined by my guest, Abbey Goodman. Thank you so much for joining us. We just covered how you broke out of the basement as a bioengineering major into the medical device space, into the sales piece of it. Now we're segueing into leadership, which I think everyone loves to hear about because they want to know, how do I get there? You said you were identified, you were tapped, something about your performance obviously triggered the conversation. So let's talk about that transition into leadership and how you were able to break through. That's certainly earned, not granted, and especially under pressure. So take us through that piece, please.
You know, as any leader will tell you, I think leading is such a broad term because you don't have to have a title to lead. You can choose to lead by example every day. You can choose to lead at your home front, in your community, all of the things. Like leadership is such a broad term, right? And it's
good point.
Specifically designed by you in whatever way that is impactful for you. And so for me, leadership was just trying to be better. And not only for myself, but to help others be better. Mm-hmm. And you try to get better every single day. And I think that's what leaders do. They get better so that they can help make their team better. And when the people around you are better, then that's when everyone elevates and everyone rises. So leadership is a continuous thing. And you just hope to be a good example to those around you and those who get to, who you get to work with.
I love that. So as you moved through Covidian, Medtronic, and into leadership at Novadac, what did pressure teach you about how authority is actually earned? This is one of my interesting questions.
Startups. There is a ton of pressure to make the right decisions, to prioritize the right things. Not only to execute, but to overachieve on execution. Because you have to be bigger, you have to be bolder. I mean, these startups there's a lot of pressure. And so some people with pressure, they get crushed. I mean, they don't like it. I love the pressure. I love being challenged. And I feel like in a challenging environment, it gets more fun. Because then you make mistakes, but you make a lot of right decisions too. And so having that pressure to just be better for the people around you and to be better both personally and professionally, that pressure is what will make you or break you. But don't ever let pressure discourage you. Pressure is a gift. And it will show you who you are.
I love that. I love how you frame that. As opposed to someone who's seeing it as an obstacle or a challenge, it's a gift that allows you to elevate, right?
It does.
Yeah.
And it also allows you to recognize gaps, right? So if I've got a gap in a certain skill set, I recognize that and am self-aware, like I need help. To call on your network, to call on your peers, to call on the people that you trust. That pressure helps to identify where those gaps are, but it also tells you, hey, you can get better here and use your peers and learn from them to do better, to be better. And so pressure is truly a gift.
Mm-hmm. In that same vein of pressure, in our brainstorming session, we talked about tough love. You use that word landing differently coming from a female. When did you first become aware of that and how did it shape your leadership style?
So I became aware of that through hiring. When I was interviewing and hiring a lot, I mean, as you do in startups, it's viewed a bit differently. If I were to be tough and transparent and completely blunt and honest with someone, then it could, coming from a female who is confident, can seem like I'm attacking someone, or it has seemed like that before. But when in reality, I'm being tough and telling you the truth because I care about you. And I want you to know the truth. And I don't want it to be misconceived or misperceived in another way. So by me being very honest, I'm doing it out of a place of love. But as a female, so I've learned that I have to communicate differently because there's a fine line between being strong and being soft, and being aggressive and being a walkover. So I've had to learn, and I continue to work on these things because I am Southern and I'm a excitable lady, that I want to just blurt things out sometimes. But it is a continual process for me to learn how to communicate properly with a person that needs something different or needs to hear something a certain way or a different way than how I would normally just like blurt things out to my husband or my kids,
Sure.
And so I would say communication in general is really, really important skill set for leaders to continually refine as they experience how they're perceived in the market.
Yeah, and I would add embedded in there is you have an emotional awareness, an emotional intelligence that knows how to throttle that communication or tailor the communication so that it lands correctly and it's appropriately and it's not offensive, or it's, you use different communication styles contextually in different scenarios. So I'm sure you've had to work on that and adapt that, and that's probably what's gotten you so far.
Still working on it.
Still working. Yeah, I love it. Let's jump ahead to Act 3. This is going to be our glitter awareness and the fine line of confidence, since we're talking about communication. Once again, Abbey Goodman joining me, episode 17, Fisher Search Group Leadership Podcast, unpacking how you've gotten to where you are today. In our third act, we're going to talk about leading a 30-person Series B AI breast oncology company, pink and glitter presence as your conscious choice, awareness of scrutiny without shrinking, pageantry as an unexpected confidence laboratory, and finally modeling strength and awareness for your daughters. I love bringing family into it because it makes it so real and human, because we're all juggling a lot as we navigate our careers. So you're very intentional about how you show up publicly, including your pink and glitter presence. How much awareness goes into that choice that you made?
You know what? Honestly, I've loved pink for a very, very long time.
Yep.
I've got pink walls in my house. Okay. That's how much we love pink. And then when we were blessed with 2 girls, my husband and I went through IVF 5 times to get them. We pinked out everything. Okay.
Wow.
So it was pink flowers, pink walls, pink outfits, and everybody's got pink monograms. It's all the pink, but I love it because it just is, it's about energy, right? If you put yourself up against like a white wall, you just, I don't know, it makes me feel like, if you put yourself against a black wall, you're going to be more like you're serious.
Sure. Yep.
But like you put up pink, it's all fun. And really life is fun. What we get to do every day is fun. You get to wake up to a beautiful family, to friends, to a life, like your feet hit the floor. Life is great. Yes. You're breathing.
Yes.
And so having fun daily is very, very intentional for me. Loving what I do, because if you don't love it, don't do it. You spend 80% of your time at work, So pink is just sort of a representation of me having fun, my family, my girls. My husband loves it. Maybe not, but he pretends like he does. So I'm going to accept it. But yeah, I just love pink and glitter and just standing out. I am not one to like shrink into a room. I want to make everyone smile and bring energy and feel love and joy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You've been the most open and expressive about that out of all my guests. So you must feel comfortable. So I appreciate the share. How do you stay conscious of the scrutiny on female leaders without letting that awareness turn into playing small? Because you just talked about like playing big and playing out. How do you sort of have that awareness and adjust?
It's human nature, right? to always look at other people and not judge, but to assess, right?
Sure. Right.
You want to be that person. What are they great at? Like, do they put themselves together well? Do they walk into a room with confidence? Like, people are always assessing other people, the situation, the rooms. Like, you're in a restaurant, you're all you do is look at people. You're like, "Oh, that's cute," or like, "Look how cute they are. Look how they're interacting." Or,
right. Who's here? Do I know anyone?
yeah, exactly. So we're always doing that naturally. And what I've come to recognize is when you do have confidence and walk into a room, there's a difference between a quiet confidence and being cocky.
Sure.
And
right.
talking over people, right? So for me, I try my best to have a presence, but a quiet presence and a comfortable presence to allow room for everyone else to speak, to make their judgments. And regardless of the judgments they make, I know that God made me who I am. And I am confident in the person that he made, knowing that he doesn't make any mistakes. I don't let what other people think really impact me. Now, granted, I hear it because I think it's important to hear what perceptions are, and I actively ask for feedback so that I can continue to refine my presence in a way that impacts more people than just a few. But I do my best to recognize my worth is in my family and in my belief in Jesus Christ. So I try to stay humbled and grounded in that way.
You said something very interesting, which prompted a question I have, which I didn't write down. But you try to be mindful of how maybe big you are or loud you are. Do you feel that if you tone it down, it creates space for others to express themselves? Like, is there a balance there, or?
There is. I would tell you that, I'm naturally loud. I was a cheerleader, shocker, but I'm naturally just a volume loud speaker because my dad always taught me to speak loud enough where the back of the room could hear you, right? Like, it was the 90s. Preach so the back of the room can hear you without a microphone. So I have had to work on even just the volume piece, but I have learned to love listening more than I talk in rooms.
That's really big.
And that was a learned trait,
Yes.
I think it's a human learned trait that we all have to work on. But yes, I do think allowing space for others, that's also what builds their relationship with you.
Yeah, I've never heard it that way discussed. We talk about like diversity of thought and having diverse perspectives in the room. But this is the first time I've really heard that like the volume piece may be something to really be mindful of, to be able to get those things to be brought out of other people that you're trying to engage with, whether it's your customers or your team, because you want them to be heard and you want them to be expressed and you want them to contribute. So it's interesting that you'd have to think about how to sort of measure your tone to be able to create that space for other people. And that's the first time we're talking about this. And that's the whole point of this program, is to bring out these things that people are really curious about and how do we make this whole thing work so we can all get to the finish line as quickly as possible. So thank you for that perspective. Let's jump into our last act, Redefining Love as Leadership. This is Act 4. Abbey Goodman joining me today. Thank you so much on the Fisher Search Group Leadership Podcast, our first discussion in 2026, kicking things off. You had a theme for the previous year when we did our brainstorm last fall. It's been a while. Tell us about 2026. What is the theme? What is the purpose behind this theme? And how is it your guiding principle to get you through the year?
So for me personally, I like to choose a word or two that resonates throughout my entire life. That I can take and use as a theme with my family, with my friends, within my community, within my church, and especially at work, because we are there so much, right? Even we talk to people all the time. So for 2026, the theme is Elevate 2026, Rise Beyond. And it is rising beyond expectations, rising beyond good enough, rising beyond mediocre. It is coming prepared. It is being intentional. It is working to do better in every single thing that you do. And if you're not, put it aside. Don't do it. If it is not elevating you, leave it behind. Because I think the hardest thing for people to do, especially in our industry, is to say no. So
sure, yes.
The question is what you're spending your time on elevating you, elevating the company, elevating your peers, elevating, your education or your learning process? And if the answer is no, then you've got to let it go and move on to things that do elevate you.
So good. Can you tell me about the process you go through to come up with this? I know for some people it's going to the beach or going to the mountains or going on a hike. Do you set aside a day? Do you do it by yourself? Do you do it with your family? What is the process that you do to set these intentions every year?
So for me, I get a new planner.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm going to show you because I think it is kind of funny. It's pink.
It's beautiful. And it's big. It's hardbound. It's like intentional. I love it. Yeah.
I am old fashioned. I like to write things down, check them off. And I do a vision board. What do I want?
Yes. Yes.
Who do I want to be? What do I prioritize? And I'm so old school that I haven't. So I am reminded.
Thank you for sharing this. This is awesome. This is
of
really
course.
Awesome. Yes.
A vision board just sort of regrounds me. And again, it's like, okay, what one word will encompass everything that I want to do this year alone? So I've got a vision statement. I do what words are important. What are my core pillars? And then I even print them off and I put them on the kids' desk.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Your personal statement, your pillars.
Elevate 2026.
Yeah. Do you do this exercise with the kids?
So I do it as an individual first.
Right.
Okay. And then once I get, sort of where I believe the direction of our family, my girls are 6 and 8. So then the portion that we do together is our volunteer work. So we have a monthly calendar of volunteer work where every second Saturday of the month, we do something to impact our community.
I love it.
And so that is something that they help to build with me, whether that's writing note cards or going to visit at the nursing home and delivering soft candies. We do stuff like that together. So that incorporates them into building a legacy of love for our family and elevating others around us.
This is so beautiful and it's so personal, and I applaud your vulnerability and openness to sharing this because it's so beautiful. Do you do this in December? Do you have like a weekend or
so it's a process.
Okay.
Right? So honestly, when the kids have a week off of school and everyone's sort of down, and not that surgeries ever stop, but December, the back half gets a bit slower sometimes. Yep. So I'll take a week when the kids are off school. I'll build out, what I want it to be. And then we do it as obviously my husband's a huge part of that. Mm-hmm. And then we bring the kids in and add it to it. So it takes about a week, but it is well worth it.
Mm-hmm. And you've seen like material differences in your life because you've taken the time to plan and visualize and articulate what the next year is going to be like?
I do. And I would also say what's really important is creating is the first step, right? Having your vision is the first step, but then execution and measuring, quarterly, monthly. I do mine monthly. Am I making progress toward this goal? If not, do I need to redefine it? Because sometimes you do. Sometimes that's just life and things just shift out of the blue. But I measure my direction, my family's direction monthly, quarterly.
Wow.
And then Good 6 months in and try to make sure that I'm not just short-term purpose driven, that I'm medium-term and long-term purpose-driven. And I know ultimately we want to live on this big old ranch with so much property just in God's green earth. We're working to get there. But obviously, that takes time and money and effort and energy. So every step we measure. So not only plan, but then execute and measure. That is extremely important.
Yep. And you're holding your family accountable. I mean, you hold your team accountable, but now you're like making sure that your life is held accountable. You got to hold yourself personally accountable so that you can achieve these things. So good for you for measuring it, assessing, reevaluating, tweaking.
Yep.
It's going to pay off for sure.
We hope so.
Yeah. Abbey, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. We're just coming up at the top of the hour. I know you have to get going. Thank you, everyone, for, if you're still watching us, the Fisher Search Group Leadership Podcast, episode 17. Happy 2026, everyone. Thank you for peeling back the curtain with your personal story. So if anyone wants to get a hold of you, can they just reach out to you on LinkedIn?
They can. And my email is on LinkedIn. So
Perfect.
Abbey Goodman, reach out, connect. I would love to help anyone, answer any questions. I am here for you guys.
You are amazing, and I appreciate you beyond words. Thank you for joining me. I'm gonna end our program, and we'll just stay on for just another couple minutes, and we'll just chat for a quick sec. So thank you, and join us next time.